can you share for our audience who might not be familiar, what is Canada Lands Company? What do you guys do? Give us a little bit of the scale and the scope.
Absolutely. Pleasure doing that. And again, thank you for welcoming me here. Canada Lands Company is a crown corporation. So we have one shareholder, and this is the government of Canada. But we're an arm's length crown corporation. So the government doesn't dictate to us day to day what we should do, how we should do it. Once a year, they approve our corporate plan. They send us a letter of expectation. So we have a letter of expectation from the minister. We align our corporate plan on this, and then we move forward with our plan. So we are, I would say, the real estate development arm of the government of Canada. So the government of Canada is probably one of the largest landowner and property owner, 32,000 property across the country. You think about national defense, you think about Transport Canada, you think about the Pickering Airport that was just announced yesterday that it's going to become a park. So the federal government has tons of land and buildings. So when they don't need a building anymore and it's surplus to their need, CLC, if it's a strategic property, CLC will buy it from them. Meaning a strategic property is something that we believe we're going to add value to it. We're going to bring value into the property, just not a single house, but a parcel of land. And we'll buy it from the federal government. We'll redevelop it, do the zoning. A lot of time it's brownfield. So we'll decontaminate the property and we'll reintroduce it into the community to make sometime it's large property like Downsview Park, to make really a new community where people want to thrive, want to live, want to work in.
Interesting. Is there typically an exit strategy for you guys, or you develop it and then you own it, you lease it up or occupy it? What typically happens at the end?
I would say we're shifting from a real estate perspective. I haven't talked about our other division, which is attraction. So we own the CN Tower here in Toronto.
Yes.
I'll just make that parenthesis. We own the Downsview Park, 300-acre park in the middle of the GTA. We own the Old Port of Montreal. You remember the big wheel that in the Old Port, and the Science Center. So we do have 4 attractions that we maintain, and we attract probably all of them together about 10 million people a year. So that's another portion of our business. But to come back on the real estate, we normally in the past, we used to, rezone, decontaminate the land, rezone, and then parcel it out, build the infrastructure, sewer, roads, park, lighting on the street. And then we sold parcel by parcel to a home builder, developer, building real estate developer, and they would build homes, or depending where it is and depending on the zoning, they can build a high-rise tower. At this point in time, with the housing crisis and all that, we're looking at all other kind of option. Mm-hmm. Now we're holding on the long term those 4 attractions. We're holding other building in Western Canada on the long term. Longer term, 20, 25 years, 30 years. We're leasing them. We're looking at leasing land. We're looking at all kinds of how can we stimulate the construction on federal land.
Interesting. And so you guys are typically looking from the angle of attraction or development, but it's not, you still have to have a business case for the development, right? So like when I look out at the Portlands just over there, that's not you guys, unless there's a business case for the federal government to kind of get involved and do that, build it out.
Yeah, most of the time it would be like, since we're an arm's length, we're have a little bit more flexibility than the federal government.
Right.
So normally we would take surplus property that are already owned by the federal government.
Right.
And then we will build them out or redevelop them and make sure that they become community with, and we have in our corporate plan, we have, affordable housing. We have some, I wouldn't say, we give ourselves some obligation because we want to get, the project has to be financially viable, right? Because we're not funded by the federal government. We're self-financing. So it has to be financially viable, but we have also social objective. We want 20% minimum affordable housing. We want, as much as possible, ecologically friendly. We want we try to build 15 minutes community where people can walk, work, and play.
Right.
And, like really some of our property development have won award after 10 years of being developed because they're still used as it was intended 10, 12 years ago.
So does that mean that like every development still has to pencil, like as if you were a Tridel or something? Like yes, of course, with social objectives, you can get better financing, but it still has to make sense in that respect. Like it's not just all grants and stuff like that.
There's got to be profit.
Yeah. Okay.
It has to make sense. It has to pencil. So the pro forma has to work the same way they work in the private sector.
Right.
Because don't forget, we're buying the property. That may change. That's in the work. There's budget. I'll talk a little bit about that. But budget 2024 gave us more other authority. But they have to. We're buying it at market value. A lot of time, it's brownfield. So we had to, an example in Montreal, Wellington Basin is $80 million of decontamination to do. So, yes, we're going to put 3,500, if I got that right, 3,500 homes there. We're going to build a beach. But there's still $80 million of decontamination to do on these lands. So there's a major risk associated with buying that property at market value from the Fed.
Mostly and the market would probably not be too excited about it. So like if they tried to sell it in the open market, most people would say, well, you got to clean this up. How are we going to finance it? It would probably sell for maybe even less than you guys might buy it. Or at least there's an opportunity. It's not like it's a property that requires a lot of work.